guys. So this is our reading lesson for Wednesday the 14th. You are going to need your skills book and your reader. So go ahead and get your skills book out, guys, and we're going to tear out a couple of pages. Hang on a second. Let me get where I need to be. Okay. We're going to tear out a couple of lessons. Now, let's see. So you should have in your skills book 11.1 and 11.2. 11.3 you should have torn out yesterday. So you shouldn't have that one. 11.4 and then 11.5. Okay, so we're going to tear out all of the 11s today. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so go ahead and get that out. And then we're going to work on our lesson. Okay. So, today we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to look at a story in our reader called The War Starts, and we're going to answer some questions. We're going to take a closer look at our spelling list that you guys tore out yesterday. So, we'll look at that, and then you're going to do some alphabetizing of those. And then we're going to look at different spellings for the k sound today. So we've got quite a bit to do. What I would like to do is, because this different spelling for the k sound comes in our reading, I would like to begin with that. Spelling words we'll go over here in a moment. All right. So we're going to look at these different spellings for the k sound. Okay. So everyone say k. All right, so there's lots of ways to spell k. We've learned K, we've learned CK, we've learned C. So we've got the K spelling, the CK spelling, and the C spelling. So here we have, repeat after me, karate, karate. This word is candle. Say candle. This word is backpack. See those CK spellings in there at the ends of each of those syllables. Say backpack. This word is ketchup. Say ketchup. And this word is camera. You can't see all of it because I'm in the way, I think. Camera. Say camera. All right. So there's also double C, and we've seen that in the word hiccup. Hiccup. It's not very common. Today we're going to look at a new spelling for the k sound. And actually a couple of you guys have seen this because you saw it in our reading group in the word scheme, the CK spelling of k. All right, so we're going to look at this new spelling of CK. All right, let's read some words with this spelling. This word is school. Say school. Tap school. 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 This word is Chris. Say Chris. Let's tap Chris. K-R-I-S. Chris. This word is echo. Say echo. Let's tap it. E-K-O. Echo. This word is ache. Say ache. Tap ache. A. Two sounds in that word. Isn't that funny? There's 4 letters, but 2 sounds. Say it again. Tap it again. A. This word is stomach. Say stomach. Tap stomach. This word is anchor. Say anchor. Let's tap anchor. Anchor. An anchor is that big metal, looks like a little arrowhead that goes down in the water to anchor a ship. All right, so let's look at, it's actually not 11.3, it's actually 11.2. So let's look at 11.2 very quickly. So we're going to look at some words that have the spelling CH, and we're going to look at the 2 different sounds it stands for. So in this first box, the CH stands for the ch sound. Okay, so I'm going to read it and then you're going to read it. Chin. Say chin. Chin. Chop. Say chop. Cheap. Say cheap. Chore. Say chore. Chest. Say chest. Lunch. Say lunch. Branch. Say branch. Change. Say change. So notice all of those CHs said ch. Everybody say ch. Look at my mouth. Ch. Your lips are kind of pooched out front of you. Ch. Okay? Now, in these words, the CH stands for the k sound. So everyone say k, k. You almost don't move your lips. They're kind of, and you make the sound sort of at the back of your throat. Say k, k. You can almost make it without moving anything except in your throat. K. All right, so let's read these words now. This says school. What does it say? School. Repeat after me. Chris. Chorus. Stomach. Anchor. Echo. Monarch. Orchid. Chemical. Chemistry. Chemist. Character. We've seen that word before. Mechanic. Orchestra. Architect. Technical. All right, so let's practice using some of these words now. Some of these words that have the k sound. We've got school, stomach. Here's one we didn't see. Monarchy. Monarchy. Everyone say monarchy. Anchor. Chemist. Architect. Orchestra. Echo. All right, so let's try to fill in these blanks with some of the words. So we have Chris. There's another CH we saw. Chris is in 10th grade at East Side High. What goes there? You said school. You're right. School. So, and since it's part of the name, we have to capitalize the S. Ooh. Now you know why school is spelled that way. Next one, a person who mixes chemicals is called a, what do you think? I see a word that looks similar. Chemist. Chemist. So let's write that. chemist. Christina, oh, there's another k, shouted into the cave, and her voice came back as an, I know you know this, echo, echo, e-k-o, echo. A person who draws plans for houses and buildings is called an, now you may not know this one. The answer to this one is the word up here, architect. An architect is a person who designs buildings and houses, and they draw up all of the plans, and then the people who construct the houses read those plans. So we're going to write in here architect. So we've got R, which is A-R, which is C-H, we just learned, E-T-A-C-T, architect. Okay, here's another one. We have Zachary. Oh, there's a sound. Zachary plays the violin in the symphony. What? Where would you play a violin? It's the orchestra, isn't it? The symphony orchestra. So we've got orchestra. That's a schwa at the end. All right, 3 more. This food is awful. I think I might be sick to my, I know you guys know this one, stomach. Stomach. A country ruled by a king is called a monarchy, or a queen too. It would be a monarchy. So E. The Y says E. And finally, the man tossed the anchor into the water. All right. So now I'm going to run and turn the light on because it likes to turn off. We're going to, you don't need this page. This page you can keep if you'd like to read it. And this is your homework page, but of course it's in Kami. So I want you to alphabetize these words, which are your spelling words. Okay? All right. So let's get back to our lesson. Let me go turn the light on real quick since it thinks I'm not here. Oh, there it goes. I just needed to move. Okay, let's see here. There it goes. Okay, so let's now look back at our lesson. Sorry, it was doing something funny, of course. Always is doing something funny. Okay. Let's just real quick go over your spelling words before we get going. We tore these out yesterday. I just want to review them. All right, so your spelling list this week has 3 different endings. The words have 3 different endings. 2 of the endings say J. This says J, G-E, and this also says J, D-G-E, okay? This one usually occurs after a long vowel, and this one usually occurs after a short vowel. Then you have this ending, which we've talked about before, shun, T-I-O-N, shun. So you find these at the end of these word. So we have this word, revenge. The word is revenge, okay? So it ends with the G-E, revenge. So that would be that ending that says J, okay? The ending is coming right after another consonant. So that's why we're using GE and we're not using DGE. Because if you put a DGE in there, it would look really weird because you'd have an N and a D and a G and then an E, and it just would look weird. You'd know it's wrong. So it ends with GE. All right. Again, we have large. We have GE. The reason we use GE is because there's a consonant there. Well, R, that R, part of the AR vowel sound, we use GE because if we put DGE in there, it would also look very weird. It would say L-A-R-D-G-E, and that'd be too many consonants in a row. So large. Large has the GE ending. Now here we have the word judge. Everyone say judge. Tap judge. J, j. That sound right before the j is the short U sound. And there's the short U sound, and there's not another consonant sound. So we're going to add D-G-E here, okay? So it's got to say judge. If we added just a G-E, this U would then be long because it wouldn't have anything to block this E for making it say its name. So it would say juge, and we don't want it to say juge. We want it to say judge. So it has to have that D-G-E to block this E. It's like hip checking them, guys. Hip checking the E so it can't make the U say its name. So it's D-G-E. Fudge is the same way. It's fudge. If we didn't have this D here, it would say fuge, and we don't want it to say that. So it has to, because it's got a short U, it's got to have D-G-E at the end. And nudge. Nudge means to kind of like give a little poke, a little elbow poke maybe, sometimes with your hand, just a little tap almost to get someone to pay attention or to do something. So a nudge. Same thing, this has a short U, so it's got to have D-G-E or else it would say nudge. And we don't want it to say nudge, we want it to say nudge. Now, here we have the word huge. In this case, we want the U to say its name. We want it to be long. So we're going to use GE so that that E can jump over and make that U say its name. Huge. So in this case, we have GE. All right, in this word, we have our ending shun. So if you know T-I-O-N, the rest should be easy for you. N-A, shun. Okay, so we've got N, and we've got A because this is an open syllable, because this is a two-syllable word, nation. It's an open syllable. The A is at the end of the syllable, so it's going to be long. It's going to say its name, nation. That one should be easy for you. Attention. Okay, again, we have shun. So you should know this, T-I-O-N. So the only part you have to memorize is at and ten. Attention. Okay? And we have direction. Again, we have shun. So we've got dir, D-I-R, dir, ek, and then shun. Fraction. You just have to memorize that first syllable. Second syllable, you've got it. T-I-O-N. All right, locomotion. This one seems hard. It's not hard. Watch this. Okay, so you know shun, right? And how many syllables do we have in locomotion? Clap them with me. Locomotion. We've got 4. Well, the last one is shun, so we only have to memorize 3. The first one is low. Well, the O falls off the cliff, so it's O-O, low. Then we have co, O. The O falls off the cliff, so we've got co. Then we have mo, O. O falls off the cliff, so we've got L-O-C-O-M-O, T-I-O-N. You guys should get that one. Stay, shuns. Okay, first of all, it's plural, so you need to have the S. If you break it here, the A falls off the cliff, it's going to say A. So we've got A, stay, shun, stations. And we have options. Options. And we have action. All right, now we have another one. This is going to say a. So this doesn't really follow any of the rules. So it says change. And the reason is because this N has to say its sound. So okay? Again, if we put a D in there, that would be way too many consonants together. N, D, G never goes together. So it only is GE. And then we have range, same thing, GE, no DGE. And this is cottage. So this is going to schwa, okay? It's going to break here, cot, and then tej, all right? But we are not going to have a D in there. And there's not a consonant. This is when you just have to memorize. Sometimes when I have to write a word that doesn't play fair, and I know it's spelled cottage, then in my brain I say cottage as I am writing it. Even though I know it's pronounced cottage, then I know I have to do A-G-E at the end for cottage. That's just unhelpful. Addition, addition. Caption. All right. So you're going to put those words in alphabetical order tonight on your 11.5. All right, so now let us look at our reader for the last part of our lesson. The war starts. All right, so everybody get your reader. Okay, we're going to open up to the table of contents. And we have read the story, The Warhawks. The Warhawks are about those people who, what? Did they want war or didn't want war? They wanted war, right? Remember, they lived out west. There were people that were having to fight with the Native Americans. They were the merchants. They were the traders. They did not want war, okay? So we're going to turn to now the war starts. If you turn to your table of contents, you will find the war starts and the page number, which is page 30. So everybody open to page 30. And let's look at some tricky words. Again, guys, if you need to pause, please pause. If I'm going too fast, you need to find your book, pause, and then start again. It's at your pace. So let's look at this word. This word is imagine. Imagine. Everyone say imagine. The tricky part of this word is the I consonant E, the I-N-E. It should say ein, imagine, but it doesn't. It says imagine. We just got to learn it. And this word is soldier. Soldier. This part is tricky because of that D. It should say soldier, but we say it like a D. We say a J almost. Soldier, soldier. There's no G in there or J to make it say that. So that tricky part is the D, soldier. This word I know you know is Washington. It's actually quite easy. It's got the word wash and the ending ing and ton, T-O-N. That's it. Pretty easy. All right, vocabulary. Monarchy, we just talked about this. The CH says K. A monarchy is a country that is ruled by a king or a queen. A fort is a building that's used to defend soldiers. It's a pretty strong building that can withstand a lot of attack. And we've talked about the CH in here. So let's look at our story today. Okay. So we are in chapter 3, The War Starts. Presidents have had to make hard choices. James Madison had to decide whether to side with the Warhawks or with the merchants who hoped for peace. In the end, he sided with the Warhawks. Those were the ones that wanted war, the ones that were fighting with the Native Americans and the ones upset. I'm sorry, I think I said the merchants were part of it. That's not true. The merchants were the opposite of the Warhawks. Madison asked Congress to declare war. On June 18th, 1812, the United States declared war on Great Britain. The Americans were in for a hard fight. The British had a huge army. They also had the world's biggest navy, but the British were already at war with France. They could only send some of their troops to fight the United States. That was a good thing for the Americans. It meant that the United States would have a better chance of winning. And then our caption down here, this shows British soldiers were already fighting France, so they could only send some of their soldiers to fight the Americans. And do you remember these guys from the Revolutionary War? What were they called? They were called redcoats because they wear red coats. So, yeah, redcoats. Those are the redcoats. Okay. Even so, not a lot of people at the time could imagine that the United States could win. Today, the United States is a strong nation. It has been around for many years. It has a strong army and navy. But that was not the case in 1812. In 1812, the United States was not very old as a country. It had broken away from Great Britain only about 30 years before. The United States had a different kind of government too. At the time, most of the nations of Europe were monarchies. That means they were ruled by kings or queens. The king or queen would rule until he or she died. Then, in most cases, the oldest son would take over. The United States was not a monarchy, and it's not a monarchy now. It did not have a king or queen. Instead, it had a president. The president was chosen by voters. He did not get to serve until he died. He served for 4 years. Then the voters got a chance to pick their president. If they voted for a different president, the old one had to step down. In 1812, most people in the world felt that the American government had a very strange way of doing things. They were not sure that the system would last and that the United States would be able to survive. The caption says, James Madison was an elected president at a time when most countries were ruled by kings and queens. In 1812, the United States did not have a strong army. In fact, the U.S. Army was tiny. It had about 4,000 soldiers. The Navy was tiny too. George Washington, the first president, had set it up. He didn't think the United States needed a big navy, but just a small number of ships to protect merchants from pirates. President Madison found a way to make the army bigger. He got farmers to join. Remember we learned in the last, I think it was the last one, a couple of them before, that most people in the United States were farmers at the time. So that's a lot of people. So they got some farmers to join. Many Americans were farmers. They used guns to hunt and to defend their homes. Madison called on these farmers. He asked them to grab their guns and join the army. Farmers were paid money and given land for joining. The U.S. soldiers were not well trained. Still, Madison was sure they could win if they attacked the British in Canada. He sent the army north to Canada. The attack on Canada did not go well. The army lost a string of battles. The United States lost forts along the border. The army was simply not ready for war. So this is soldiers in the U.S. Army. So this is what our army looked like. They had blue jackets and not red. Oop, here it goes again. It's turning off the lights on me. There it goes. It thinks no one's in here, so it tries to turn it off, but anyway. No one expected much from the tiny U.S. Navy, but things went better on the seas than they did on land. The United States battled bravely. They beat the British in a number of naval battles. American men in the Navy during War of 1812. So there we go. So that was pretty neat that the Navy did pretty well, and they weren't really expected to. All right, so then our next chapter you can see is about a ship. So that's leading up to telling us how great the Navy was doing, even though it was little. So what we're going to do right now is work on 11.1, which is the war starts. So everybody get that out. All right. So it says, if a statement is true, write true on the line. If a statement is false, write false on the line. Also write the page number. So we have to find where this says true, if it's true or false. Sorry, my son was calling me. Okay, so we're going to find, if it's true, we're going to write true. If it's false, we're going to write false, and then we're going to write the page number where we can find the information. So on June 18th, 1812, the United States declared war on Great Britain. So let's go back, because I remember it talking about declaring war. And here it is, on June 18th, 1812, the United States declared war on Great Britain. So that is true. That information, that fact, is a true fact. So we're going to write true. And we're going to write the page number, which is down here at the bottom, which is page 30. All right? Next, it says, look at how funny it says, it has two ones there. In 1812, the British were already at war with France, so they could only send some of their troops to fight the United States. Okay? All right, well, let's see. I remember them talking about that. It says, oh, right here, it says the British were already at war with France. They could only send some of their troops to fight the United States. Is that what that says here? And the British were already at war with France, so they could only send some of their troops to fight the United States. So, yep, that was true. And that was also on page 30. Okay, now this one I'm going to give you time to find. It says, at the start of the war, most people thought the United States would defeat the British easily. What do we think? Can you find where it talked about that? Because I remember it talking about it, but I don't remember exactly where it was. So see if you can find it, decide if it's true or false, and put the page number if you found it. I'll give you a couple minutes. I'll give you a minute. How's that? Not a couple. Okay, so let's look, because I remember, it's right here at the top. It says, even so, not a lot of people at the time could imagine that the United States would win. So here it says, at the start of the war, most people thought the United States would defeat or beat the British easily. Well, that's false. They didn't think. They said they didn't think they could win. So that's false. And the answer to that is on page 32. Now, I bet you guys can find this one. A monarchy is a nation that is ruled by a king or queen. So you've got to find where it was talking about monarchies. See what it says. Okay, so here it's talking about monarchies, and it says, at the time, most of the nations of Europe were monarchies. That means they were ruled by kings or queens. So a monarchy is a nation that is ruled by a king or queen. That is true. And that was on page 32. All right, and then it says, in 1812, the United States was a monarchy. Okay, that means it was ruled by a king or queen. Is that true or false? So look at here. It says the United States had a different kind of government too. At the time, most of the nations of Europe were monarchies. Okay? It says the United States was not a monarchy. So that's false. It is not a monarchy. And that is on page 32. And this one's also here. In 1812, most of the nations of Europe were ruled by presidents who were elected and served for 4 years. No. We just read that, right? Where did we read that? Yeah, it was up here. It says, at the time, most of the nations of Europe were monarchies. They were not ruled by presidents. They were ruled by kings and queens. So we're going to put false. That's a false fact. And that is also on page 32. Now, if you're not caught up with us, you can pause it and then continue when you're ready. All right, we've got a couple more to do on the back. It said, in 1812, the United States had a large army and a very powerful navy. Well, I don't think that was true. We'll look over here. It says right up here, in 1812, the United States did not have a strong army. The navy was tiny too. So they did not have a large army and they didn't have a very powerful navy. So that is false. That is on page 34. So we have to pay attention when we're reading because it helps us to know where to look for the information. I expect you to find the information in the reading, but and you don't have to memorize it, but if you kind of have an idea of what you're reading about, it gives you a good idea of where things are in your chapter. So it says, at the beginning of the war, the U.S. Army attacked the British in Canada and won all of its battles there. Okay, so let's see. I remember us reading that. I think. Oh, here. The U.S. soldiers were not well trained. Still, Madison was sure they could win if they attacked the British in Canada. He sent the army north to Canada. The attack on Canada did not go well. Okay, did not go well. The army lost a string of battles. The United States lost forts along the border, and the army was simply not ready for war. So this is at the beginning of the war. The U.S. Army attacked the British in Canada and won all of its battles there. Nope, that's false. They didn't win. They what? They lost all of their battles. Okay, and that was on page 34. Okay, our last thing we're going to do, again, you can pause it anytime you want. The last thing we're going to do is number the events in the order that they happened. So let's read through them and then we're going to find them in our text. Today, the United States is a strong nation. The U.S. Navy beat the British in a number of Navy battles. George Washington set up the first U.S. Navy. President Madison asked farmers to join the Army. On June 18, 1812, the United States declared war on Great Britain. All right, So I think we have to think about these based on the presidents, right? So some of these things and what it's talking about. Like this one's talking about today. So that wouldn't be the thing that happened first. It would actually be the thing that happened last, right? Today, the United States is a strong nation. So that's going to be our last one. So then let's see. This talks about the U.S. Navy beating the British. So that was happening in the War of 1812. We have George Washington set up the first U.S. Navy. Well, that was before the War of 1812. Remember, he was the first president. So that's going to be before the War of 1812. Then we've got President Madison asked farmers to join the army. Well, President Madison is after George Washington, so that's going to be next. And on June 18th, they declared war. So I'm going to say this one. George Washington set up the first U.S. Navy is going to be the first thing that happened in the timeline, okay? He set it up when he was the first president, which was long before the War of 1812, okay? We're going to go then and look at these, and we decided this one's going to be our last one, so we'll keep that one out. So let's see, the U.S. Navy beat the British in a number of battles. President Madison asked farmers to join the army, and on June 18th, 1812, the United States declared war on Great Britain. Which one do you think comes next? The one that comes next is going to be declaring war. They declare war. Okay? Okay, then the thing that comes next is that President Madison asked farmers to join. He did that before we hear about the Navy. So the next thing that happened is President Madison asked the farmers to join the army. And then the U.S. beating the British in a number of naval battles, that'll come next. And then we decided last is today the United States is a strong nation. That's the last thing because it's talking about today. And so that definitely happened after the War of 1812. All right, you guys. So today you have, you have read 20 minutes. Make sure you're putting down your title and whether or not it's fiction or nonfiction and giving the information in a complete sentence. Then you have 11.5 to do, which is putting your spelling words in alphabetical order. All right. See you later, guys.